In Demon Slayer Season 3 Episode 1, we've gotten a solid look at a man who's been wrapped in mystery since early on in Demon Slayer. The mysterious man of a similar scar to Tanjiro, who looks like he could be related to him somehow, that keeps appearing over and over again, now even earning himself a spot in both the opening and ending of this season. This video is for people who want to know more about this character but don't want to dive into the manga and have other plot points spoiled for them, but just know that as we discuss this character, we're going to have to discuss Upper Moon 1 a bit also, but I've saved all the juicy bits for a separate video about him in case you clicked on this video not expecting to know all about Upper Moon 1. So you can watch my Upper Moon 1 video by clicking the card in the top right, or watch this video first, but both are linked together very closely, so the choice is yours. So first off, we've seen this man a few times already in the series, like during Season 1 when Muzan had a flashback to seeing him, and during Season 2 as Daki saw a vision of a tall marked swordsman standing behind Tanjiro, echoing all of his movements. These visions themselves come from Kibutsuji Muzan's blood, and they're seared into his blood like trauma or horrible memories of this mysterious swordsman. But the reason why demands a bit of a story. Hit it! 500 years ago in the world of Demon Slayer, there was a swordsman by the name of Yoriichi Sugikuni. Despite being hailed as the most powerful swordsman on the planet, he carried with him a deep sense of failure, something that he knew all too well from his earliest days. He began his life as a child, a twin boy born into a world of uncertainty. Being a twin meant that there was always the worry of which of them would take up the mantle as the family's heir, but there was something different about one of the twins, something that would set him on a path that would change the course of his life and history forever. From the moment that he was born, Yoriichi Sugikuni was marked with a fiery red birthmark etched onto his face. It was an unusual marking that would go on to become iconic, appearing on the foreheads of other notable figures like Tanjiro and Upper Moon 1. But Yoriichi is the only character we've ever been seen to be born with this mark already on their body. At an early age, Yoriichi is an extremely quiet boy who seems like he just wants to care for others and live out a simple existence. However, his brother Michikatsu was raised to be the pride of the family and would often prove to be Yoriichi's superior in every way. One day, everything changed for Yoriichi when he was handed a sword for the first time. To everyone's surprise, he proved to be a natural prodigy, moving with the grace and skill of a master compared to even the most highly trained swordsmen. After these events, during a conversation between the two, we see Michikatsu realize that his apparently useless brother that always stuck by mom's side and didn't know anything planned on becoming a swordsman. And this revelation caused Michikatsu to realize that his seemingly useless brother was capable of so much more than he could ever imagine. This on one hand was amazing considering the circumstances, however for Michikatsu, this newfound realization brought with it a sense of dread. He feared that their father would now view him as the worthless one instead, completely upending the established structure of their household, and Michikatsu's concern was incredibly hard to hide from his brother who saw everything. Yoriichi on the other hand learned that his father was planning on making him the heir instead of Michikatsu, and rather than subjecting his brother to a life of turmoil, Yoriichi decided to leave home, giving his brother his place back in his life as Yoriichi wandered the world and grew stronger and stronger, eventually committing himself to the pursuit of destroying every demon he came across with his own sword style that he developed called the Breath of the Sun. This holy breathing technique was all powerful against demons and was unfathomably powerful. However, the original user was so talented and so gifted that other people couldn't be taught how to use this style. As Yoriichi wandered throughout Japan, he gained allies that all took up the blade as well, and as the years went by, he dedicated himself to training these swordsmen as well as he could, leading to many of them developing their own breathing styles as offshoots of his original breath. This means that every other breathing style in existence is just a branch breath from the original breathing style, and those breathing styles have been mostly passed down through the ages as the main styles that we see the Hashira wield, like water or fire breathing. But remember that fire breathing and sun breathing, as similar as they look, are two entirely different styles, and as amazing as fire is, it just doesn't hold a candle to the original breathing style, and that makes this a good part of the video to describe all of the Breath of the Sun techniques created by the original user, but we will get back to his life story in a second. So the 12 forms of the Breath of Sun breathing are as follows. The first form is called Dance, and this is a technique where the user performs a singular downwards vertical burning slash in an arcing motion. Then we have second form, Flame Dance, a 2-combo strike which starts with a burning vertical slash leading into a horizontal slash right after. The third form is called Clear Blue Sky, and the user spins and twists their upper body in a circular motion, releasing a 360-degree slash that looks like a burning sun with a hole in the center. The fourth form is called Raging Sun, and the user unleashes 2 consecutive searing hot arcing slashes around themselves in order to strike incoming attacks or cover a wide area in front of themselves. The fifth form is called Burning Bones Summer Sun, and to do it the user performs a circular slash utilizing a spiraling motion which extends in front of themselves, creating a giant spiraling flame to defend from imminent frontal attacks or to wipe out anything in front of them. The sixth form is called Setting Sun Transformation, and the user backflips into the air before performing a singular horizontal slash wreathed in flames which aims to decapitate the target and burn away their head in the trail of flames to combat a demon's healing and get that surefire strike. The seventh form is called Solar Heat Haze, and this is actually an ability that uses the sun's flames around the blade to create a heat haze-like effect, masking the true length and location of the blade to deliver an unexpected strike. The eighth form is called Beneficent Radiance, and the user spirals into the air whilst performing a swirling slash upwards, completely cloaked in flames, as they pretty much create a large fiery spiraling inferno. The ninth form is called Sunflower Thrust, and the user performs a singular thrust using the tip of their blade to strike the target, as rings of fire bloom from the sides of the blade in kind of a sunflower pattern, pushing and burning everything on the outside of the blade with flames. 10th form of the Breath of the Sun is called Fire Wheel, and it's really simple. The user flips into the air behind the opponent before unleashing a singular vertical slash in a fiery circular motion to swiftly cut the target. The 11th form is called Parhelion Rainbow, and the user performs high-speed twists and rotations as they use the power of the Breath of the Sun to create a mirage of themselves briefly to allow them to dodge or mislead enemy attacks. This heat mirage works most effectively on enemies with good vision because they're going to be sure that it's real, and it's pretty much the Sun Breath's version of the substitution jutsu or the body flicker technique. And Sun Breath form number 12 is called Dragon Sun Halo Head Dance, and to do this the user performs a large array of consecutive slashes in a continuous motion to strike the target while creating a large flaming dragon with the power of the sun that is also capable of decapitating and scorching multiple targets in the path of the blade. Now there is one more form to the Breath of the Sun, however we'll get back to that in a second after we discuss more things that happen in Yoriichi's life. Now at some point during the period where Yoriichi was founding the Demon Slayer Corps, his brother finally swallowed his pride and left his family home, eventually joining Yoriichi as a Demon Slayer who dedicated himself in the pursuit of Kibutsuji Muzan. And as the brothers worked together to get even more and more powerful as the demonic threats that they faced only grew and grew, a change began to happen in Michikatsu and the others. The mark that Yoriichi had since birth seemed to appear on his allies at certain times during the heat of combat or in high intensity situations, and some who were masters of their blade were actually able to materialize their own marks permanently on their body, like Yoriichi's brother Michikatsu. This mark drastically increased the power of the Demon Slayers and enhanced their abilities and sword forms, leading to an era where the Demon Slayers flourished and Yoriichi got to work by his brother's side, living the life that he always dreamed of back when they were younger. This is where, however, the problems would begin. One by one, each of the marked swordsmen started to die. Not in battle though, but of some mysterious illness that made them die of old age, much younger than any of them were supposed to. After noticing a pattern, Yoriichi and the others realized that this had to do with the marks themselves, and it seemed like it was just a power that humanity wasn't prepared to wield, that Yoriichi, who was like a gift from heaven, seemed to be the only one who could handle it with no repercussions. This would begin to drive a rift between the two brothers, as Michikatsu realized that all the things he sacrificed to follow his brother on this path were all going to be lost and thrown away, as he did all of that only to be doomed to die within 25 years due to the curse of the mark, returning Yoriichi's brother to despair once more. Eventually, on a mission to take down Kibutsuji Muzan once and for all, Michikatsu never showed up, and because of this, all of Yoriichi's allies were slain, with Yoriichi arriving just in time to catch Muzan trying to escape. However, the Sun Breath user was unable to defeat the Demon Lord at this time due to Muzan splitting his body into hundreds of different pieces to escape, and this is where Yoriichi would develop the third 13th and final form of the Breath of the Sun. The 13th form has no specific name, it's just known as just that, the 13th form. However, instead of learning some brand new technique, the final ability of the Breath of the Sun is chaining all of the previous abilities together, one after the other non-stop, until the opponent is dead. This is made possible by the grace of the Breath of the Sun, which offers its users limitless stamina, specifically when they've mastered the forms and have reached the level of using the 13th form. But this is a combat art truly meant to be infinite, making it pretty much Demon Slayer's version of an infinite combo glitch that works until the opponent's life bar goes to 0 and the demon is slain. This is the technique that Yoriichi masters as he swears to one day defeat Kibutsuji Muzan, and life moves on, with Yoriichi still not sure of his brother's fate. During this time, Yoriichi would continue to travel through Japan, doing his duty of slaying demons as he was unhindered by the curse of the mark. However, one day he stumbled upon a man and his wife in need of saving, and after easily dispatching the demon bothering them, he's thanked with a cup of tea. This scene is the flashback that Tanjiro experiences in his coma as he's waking up, where Yoriichi speaks to Yoriichi Kamado, an ancestor of Tanjiro's, who's witnessed Yoriichi doing his amazing 13th form. As Yoriichi talks down on himself and talks about not being able to protect anything, Sumiyoshi feels like those are terrible words to hear about this amazing man who saved him and his family. And though he feels like he might not be able to change Yoriichi's mind, he honors his dear friend by turning what he saw into a dance that the Kamados passed down along with Yoriichi's earrings sometime later, through the generations, as a secret dance and ritual that the Kamados do to honor this mysterious swordsman and bring them good favor. And elsewhere sometime during this era, members of the Kotetsu clan from the Swordsmith village used knowledge of Yoriichi to create a training dummy made to replicate his sword forms to aid future and current demon hunters in their pursuit of power and skill to take on the demons, recognizing that Yoriichi wouldn't live forever and that at the very least this robot would be some substitute for the original that can help demon slayers get much more powerful, just being somewhat like the original Sunbreath user, which really tells you just how powerful he was when an imperfect copy of him is still powerful enough to give modern day demon slayers a lesson or two. The training robot is so similar to Yoriichi that he probably had to play a part in its creation, meaning this likely happened after his meetings with Sumiyoshi, who he did become friends with later on in life, as he learned that what and who he was not useless or a failure, and that it did need to be passed on somehow. Yoriichi puts his blade inside of the training dummy, and a new blade is forged for him by the Kotetsu clan as time moves on once more and a new generation of demon slayers are born, and with them comes the rise of the Upper Moon demons, who began to pop up throughout the generations. But Yoriichi just kept battling on with his blade, which itself was a black blade that he can turn into a bright red sword on command, and this ability would make his sword burn demons at the cellular level, stopping even Muzan's regeneration when it hit him. Now, as the years went on and Yoriichi's hair went gray and his skin wrinkled, his threatening aura never got duller, and one day on the night of a blood red moon, Yoriichi locks eyes of a particular demon who you'd recognize from Demon Slayer Season 3 Episode 1, and that would be Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. In this field of grass on this dark night, Yoriichi seemed like a ghost to the demon, who instantly recognized him and shook with fear, as Yoriichi, who followed this demon's path through tapping into different rumors and reports in various villages, finally found the one demon he wanted to make sure he killed before his time was up. Realizing that he couldn't find Muzan and his final moments were approaching, Yoriichi set out to do the one thing that in his heart he knew he shouldn't have put off. Yoriichi set out on a mission to slay Kokushibo, who used to be his brother. And you can learn exactly how their battle goes by watching my video on the strongest demon in Demon Slayer Explained, where we cover the other side of the story as we go from discussing Demon Slayer's sun to revealing everything about its moon.